Shalom. I wanted to post up a video talking about Yom Teruah. Camera's all non-adjusted. No, it's getting crooked. No! Come on. Really? Stop it! That's not gonna work. That's even better than I had it. Alright, so, sorry. I wanted to talk about Yom Teruah. Now, I'm not going to be getting as in-depth as a lot of teachers could get with it. Gosh. This is why people buy studios. I was actually reading up on it, because this is the first time that I'd be able to observe Yom Teruah. Well, actually, no, I celebrated it last year, now that I think about it. But this time I'm actually doing it on the actual biblical day. But the problem here is, well, I'll get into it. I'll talk more about me later. Okay, so we're going to go to the book of Leviticus, chapter 23. This, if you're new to Torah, or even if you're not, this is where you will find the list of all the feasts. Except for things like Hanukkah and Purim, those kind of came later, and we're not really commanded to keep those. But you know, we can. But anyways, this is the list of all the feasts. However, seeing as though Yom Teruah for me right now is tonight, that's why I'm recording this video right now. And Yom Teruah is the Feast of Trumpets. It is a fall feast. It's the first of the fall feasts. It starts on the first day of the 7th month. Now, the thing about that is when Yeshua talked about a day and hour that no man knows, you know, that gave power to the prophetic significance of this particular feast, because it really does start at a day and an hour that no man knows, because it being on the first day of the month, we have to make sure that the renewed moon is sighted from Jerusalem. And there's actually 2 guys out there right now that are going to be looking for it. Which, for me, of course, being in North America, it would kind of... actually, I need to look up the time frame difference between Israel and us. But, no, actually, I do know it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9... I think there is a 7-hour difference. 7 or 8. Okay, so, what we're looking for here is, the renewed moon has to be sighted, and that could take place on any of one of 2 days. That sounded weird. It could happen on either tonight or tomorrow night. We don't know, because the beginning of the month is determined by the... I can't think of the Hebrew word, I'm sorry. I know Kodesh is in there somewhere. Because it means renewed. What we're looking for is the renewed moon, and when that happens, if it's not spotted on one day, then we look for it to be spotted on the next day. But it has to be sighted, and you know, there has to be witnesses and all that kind of stuff. So the reason I bring that up is that is on a day and an hour that no man knows. Yom Teruah could be tonight for me, or for the world. But we don't know, because we don't know if the renewed moon is going to be spotted tonight. If it's not tonight, we still have to prepare and be ready for it to be spotted for tomorrow night. And if we learn that the new moon, or renewed moon, I say new moon because that's how it's been said for all my life, but come to find out it's actually a renewed moon, it's not the new moon. But technically speaking, we don't know what day or hour it's going to be spotted on. So, with that said, he says that Yeshua was talking about the time of his return is on a day and an hour that no man knows, and all that kind of stuff. So that kind of gave power to the prophetic significance of what Yom Teruah was. After, you know, of course he fulfilled the spring feast the first time he came in. Prophetically speaking, he will come and fulfill the fall feasts, you know, in their significance. Sorry, I'm all over the place. So let's get into scripture. Leviticus 23, the particular feast we're talking about is the Feast of Trumpets, Yom Teruah, which is, by the way, Yom, I believe, means day. If we're going to start at a verse, it would be 23. So Leviticus 23:23, and I will read this from the New King James Version, replacing certain words as they were meant to originally have been said. Then Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month of the 1st of the month, you shall have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation. You shall do no customary work, and you shall offer an offering made by fire to Yahweh, or Yehovah, depending on your preference. Okay, so let's break it down. This is technically all that was commanded of us here. And it's fascinating because a lot of times I'll see people do particular things on, particular feasts. Like they'll eat certain types of food, or they'll do this, or they'll do that, which I don't think is necessarily bad. But what a lot of it stems from is the Pharisaic, the rabbinical takano that says, well, we do it this way, and this is how we celebrate the feast. But, I like to go back to Scripture and see what it says. Now, here in the Torah, here's what it says about the Feast of Trumpets, Yom Teruah. Let's break it down verse by verse. The first verse, which, by the way, there were no verses, we all know that. But it says, Then Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying. Now, this is very important because this shows that it came from the mouth of the Almighty. He spoke it to Moshe. This is Moshe. And this is what the Almighty said, okay? It's not the Mosaic law, it's the Torah of our Father, the Almighty, Yahweh. So, that's important to note. Next verse, 24. Speak to the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month of the first of the month, and that's what I was talking about, the first day of the 7th month, you shall have a Sabbath. Now, let me explain that a little bit. Sabbath, of course, is the 7th day of the week. Today on the pagan calendar is Tuesday. Tomorrow is Wednesday. But this on a Hebrew calendar would say that today is the 3rd day of the week, and tomorrow is going to be the 4th day. Yeah, I got that right. And that's the the 3rd and the 4th day of the week. But what we're looking for is the first of the 7th month to be a Sabbath. There are what is called high Sabbath days or high holy days. It goes by different terms, but basically, whenever certain feasts pop up, what we're looking for is whenever that particular feast happens on the day that the Almighty told us to hold that feast, that becomes a Sabbath. Not every single one of the feasts, there's 7, but I think there's 3 particular feasts that have this special Sabbath day. Now, basically, and I'm, by the way, pray for me. I'm hoping to get a new job, and the reason I say that is because it's actually very simple for us to be able to say to our employers, because of my faith or my religion, I'm having, it's a holiday for me. Holiday is Old English for holy day. It's something that I need to take off work for. And that's what he's saying, have a Sabbath. The Bible talks about in the Torah how, you celebrate a Sabbath day, and you basically cease all your work, you rest, you gain back all your strength. In this particular case, this is saying you shall have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets. Basically saying, put everything on hold. Everything stops. You are going to have a memorial of blowing of trumpets. Doesn't mean you sit there with a trumpet and blow it all day until you run out of air and fall over. That's not what he's talking about. He's basically saying, on this day, when it happens, have a Sabbath. Stop everything. You're going to have a memorial blowing of trumpets. Now, a memorial, I'll get to that in a minute. Looking at what time I have. Oh, I got a lot of time. it's going to be a holy convocation. A holy convocation is basically a way of saying that, this is going to be a very special gathering, assembly of the entire nation. We're going to come together, or you're going to come together, and you're going to have a memorial of blowing of trumpets. It's going to be awesome. So that's what that's saying so far. And the very last part explains more on what we do on the day. You shall do no customary work, and you shall offer an offering made by fire to Yahweh. Now, I'll be completely honest with you. A fire offering, that could, the Torah does explain what a fire offering is. I'm actually going to look that up in a little bit, actually. You know what? I've decided to look it up and tell you. But before I do, I want to talk about the memorial of blowing of trumpets. Now, a memorial is held to remember something that has happened before. Let's go back and check it out. And by the way, what I just read to you is what we're told to do. That's what we do to celebrate the Feast of Trumpets, Yom Teruah. And I wanted to get that out. And I'll explain, I'm going to talk a little bit more in just a minute about some other things, but let's look at the memorial real quick. We're going back to Exodus chapter 19. Now, this is after the Hebrews were delivered out of slavery from Egypt. Hello? Sorry. Okay, so we're going to Exodus 19. Now, this is after the Hebrews were delivered out of slavery from Egypt by the hand of the Almighty. And now they're coming to a place called Mount Sinai. So, I'm going to read a particular part, what he says to do. I'm going to start in verse 14, because this is when Moshe relays what the Almighty told him to tell the people. So, Exodus 19, verse 14. So Moshe went down from the mountain to the people and sanctified the people. Sanctify means to separate. That's the idea of making holy. Sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes. And he said to the people, "Be ready for the third day. Do not come near your wives." Basically, don't sleep with them. Then it came to pass on the third day, in the morning, that there were thunderings and lightnings and a thick cloud on the mountain, and the sound of the trumpet was very loud. There's a trumpet. So that all the people in the camp trembled. And Moshe brought the people out of the camp to meet with Yah, the Elohim, and they stood at the foot of the mountain. Now Mount Sinai completely in smoke, because Yahweh descended upon it in fire. Its smoke ascended like the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mountain quaked greatly. And when the blast of the trumpet sounded long and became louder and louder, Moshe spoke, and Elohim answered him by voice. Then Yahweh came down upon Mount Sinai on the top of the mountain. And Yahweh called Moshe to the top of the mountain, and Moshe went up. So that's the part there that we memorialize. Now after that, of course, he gave the first 10 of the commandments. After that, the people became afraid. They said, we don't want to hear your voice. We're afraid we're going to die. Just tell Moshe, and we'll figure it out. And the Almighty was like, very well spoken. That's how things are going to be done. And that's what he promised Moshe too. He told him that, I'm going to do something, and they're going to listen to every word you're going to say after this event. But this was the giving of the covenant, But that's what we memorialize. Now, I want to take a look at a couple of things that, what I consider similarities between what we were commanded to do and what happened. Now, this is a Sabbath, do no work. So, what you see here, he commanded that they be ready for the third day, do not come to your wives, don't do anything like that. So when the third day happened, they're preparing themselves. Now, by traditional standards, and the Gospels also kind of hint at this also, is that people would be doing their work. They would wash their clothes, get ready, and everything else like that. And when the renewed moon was sighted, they, if I'm getting this right, they would blow a trumpet. And if you had been doing everything to get ready, then you were ready to go celebrate the feast. If you weren't ready, then you missed out. You missed out on the memorial. So Moshe basically went down to the people and said, clean your clothes, don't do anything with your wives, be ready, on the third day. Then it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunderings and lightnings, and a thick cloud on the mountain. And the sound of the trumpet was very loud, so all the people in the camp trembled. Moshe brought the people out to the camp to meet with Elohim, and they stood at the foot of the mountain. Now Mount Sinai, completely in smoke, because Yahweh descended upon it in fire. Here's the similarity between that. You have a blowing of a trumpet, and then you have Yahweh descending in fire. Now let's go back and look at what Leviticus says about the Feast of Trumpets. You will have a memorial of trumpets, a holy convocation coming together. Ye shall do no work on it, and you shall offer an offering made by fire to Yahweh. Do you see the similarities here? There is a blowing of a trumpet, there is fire, there are people coming together. It's to memorialize that day that everyone came to the foot of Mount Sinai, heard the trumpet blast, saw that the whole mountain was just completely covered in smoke because Yahweh had descended in fire, and that's when he gave the commandments and the covenant was made. That's what we are memorializing. That's what we're remembering on this particular feast. Alright, now I looked up what a burnt offering is, and what I found basically was anytime there was a burnt offering, there seemed to be an animal sacrifice, and particularly if we go to Exodus 29, it's talking about Aaron and his sons being consecrated and all that. So the part that I saw where there was a burnt offering is verse 18. This is after all the, cutting up of the ram and all that kind of stuff. It says, and you shall burn the whole ram on the altar. It's a burnt offering to Yahweh. It is a sweet aroma, an offering made by fire to Yahweh. So that particular point, though, is a little, I guess, gray for us now, because there's now no more sacrifices that we can do to atone for anything. Yeshua was our Passover lamb. He was our sacrifice. He gave us life for our atonement. So, burnt offering, what can we do? Truth be told, there's, we don't sacrifice animals anymore. We don't do that. Now, I don't know if it would be out of line to maybe just, make a small fire in your fireplace or burn a candle or some incense or something like that. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you to do that or not to do that. I believe that's something that you should communicate with the Almighty, and I believe His Ruach, His Spirit will guide you in that manner. But I do believe in the blowing of the trumpet. I don't have a trumpet. I have a keyboard that can sound like a trumpet. But I'll probably just pull up a video on YouTube or something. This is what I wanted to talk about. You out there who are believers, like myself, and basically have nowhere to go. I've looked for Messianic congregations around where I am right now. I've tried contacting one that's actually about an hour away, and they don't believe in phones. I contacted a friend of mine who, believes as I do, but they aren't doing anything. The only other one I know of is maybe 2 hours away, but I don't even know where that is, really. I mean, seriously, I've looked. But what I wanted to say was, you know, I would love to start some kind of a chat, you know, or just something where we could kind of get together and, you know, play a video and, you know, there's a blowing of the trumpet, you know, just something. And I don't really have the resources to do that. I mean, I could get an instant messenger, I guess, and, you know, we could get a friends list. I don't know. You guys can share your thoughts on that. But I wanted to say that I'm going to be celebrating Yom Teruah in the way that I know I can. And that is here at home with my family. I'm probably just going to pull up a video of a guy blowing a shofar or something like that. So we could just kind of memorialize what happened, remember it, you know, probably read the story, and, you know, so I can teach my daughter something, you know, it's for our obedience to the Torah, you know, as given by the Almighty, and it's also because, you know, I want to teach my daughter, you know, what we do, what the Scripture is all about. So, you know, in summary, throughout this video, by the way, I've done a lot of editing, so I've cut it all out, but I went, I had to go into the other room to do some research for the fire offering, and I'm kind of all over the place. I got a phone call, so my mind's not exactly where it was at the very beginning of the video. But, you know, in summary, let's just beat this out real quick. Yom Teruah, it's, you know, it's either tonight or tomorrow night, depending on, you know, when the renewed moon is sighted. And it's a memorial to just remember that, you know, the Almighty came down, there was blowing of trumpets, He came down in fire, gave the covenant, we received it, He gave the first 10 commandments, and, you know, it's a beautiful thing, and it's difficult for people like myself because we really have nowhere to go, so the Holy Convocation part's a bit difficult. But, you know, I believe that even so, our obedience reaches out to the throne of the Almighty, and He sees us trying. You know, He knows that we're pursuing Torah, and we're not ever going to get it perfect. We're just not. You know, even just in the next chapters, the Hebrews, you know, were given the commands and told, hey, you know, don't have any other gods before me. I'm your God. And they said, okay, we hear you. And they made an altar to a golden calf and worshipped it. So, I mean, that was after actually physically seeing the mountain on fire and hearing the trumpet blow and hearing the voice of the Almighty and freaking out over it. Because look, let me just point this out real quick. I'm trying not to go long. Exodus 19 was when all that happened, and in chapter 20, you know, He gave the first 10 commandments, and there was actually this big gap there. He gave a lot of commands here. He talked about the Sabbath, the holy anointing oil, and just all this different kind of stuff. He talked about a lot of stuff here. But then, in chapter 32, they, you know, and I know there's no chapters, but just to kind of give you this big span, I mean, I'm sure that happened over a good period of time there, that you know, they saw this happen. Moshe went back up to talk to the Creator, and they were like, well, He must be dead. Let's make a god. And Aaron's like, no, no. And they were like, do it. And he's like, okay. But it has nothing to do with me. You know, this kind of stuff. He washed his hands of it. But, I mean, my point is, even they screwed up, and they were just, like, right there in the midst of it, you know? It's like, you know, they look at the mountain, it's on fire, there's trumpets, there's the voice of the Almighty, and then they're giving the command, the covenant and stuff, you know, like, we will obey! And, then just, you know, not very long after, it's like, let's make a golden calf, that was fun. I'm just saying that to point out, we're not going to get things perfect, and the Almighty knows that, and that's why He sent His Son. Point in case, sealed and delivered. So, don't feel bad if you can't come together. Don't feel bad if you can't make a fire offering or something like that. You know, just, you know, I don't even have a shofar, and I plan on changing that by next year. But I'm going to do what I can with what I have, and with the resources available to me, I'm going to try my best to follow Yom Teruah as the Bible commands. And that's really it. I hope this was educational, inspiring, maybe even entertaining. But that's that. And you know, shalom. Thank you very much. I wish you a great Yom Teruah. I really do. I hope there's much shalom. I hope there is much celebration and jubilation, and I just hope it's a really good event for you. And I really hope the same for myself, because I've been looking forward to this. Really have. It's just the point that I'm going to actually get to celebrate in some way, and that really excites me. All right, that's it. Thank you very much, and shalom.